Greetings, Pitt State football fans, and welcome to the 2026 Recruiting Day ceremony. I'm Eddie Lomshek, radio broadcaster for Pitt State Athletics, joined by head coach Tom Anthony. If you haven't been with us before, the first Wednesday of February is the first day of the signing period when schools at this level announce their recruiting class for the year. At Division I, there's a one-week period in December, but that obviously does not apply to us. Always a big day, and when you have a program as decorated Pittsburgh State, there's a lot of curiosity in the signing class. I've never met a coach that didn't like their signing class. No coach ever says, we don't like these guys. Everybody looks good on paper. Everybody looks good in their highlight video. We'll have each position coach come up. We'll talk about this class position by position with respective assistant coaches. But Coach Anthony is the head coach. Recruiting day, signing day, always a big day, obviously. You guys work tirelessly at this, especially since the end of last season. Talk about what it's like when this day finally rolls around.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of a sigh of relief. You know, you put so much time and effort kind of away from your families, you know, over the last couple months on the road. Just getting to know these kids, getting to know their families, getting to know the high school coaches. And so many people, you know, pour into this whole deal, you know, even outside the coaching staff. I mean, all the video, the pictures, the graphics, all the highlight videos. I mean, our video crew does a great job, Prince, Sloan, and Jacob. Obviously, you know, all the printouts we do. I mean, Dan Wilkes, SID, just pours so much time into that. Our compliance folks typing up the FAAs, getting here early this morning to push everything through. Kelly Miller does a great job with that. So much stuff behind the scenes, I think, that goes into this that a lot of people don't know about. So just a huge thank you to those people.
They still use fax machines for the letter of intent?
No, you know, signing day is actually like, it's not as fun anymore, I guess, right. In the office. You know, you used to have to come in, a kid had to go to FedEx, Kinko's to fax his deal back. Now it's like print it out, sign it, take a screenshot, text it back, and then it's done. So all the fun stuff, I think, you know, 10, 15 years ago that you got to kind of come in and enjoy, that some of that's gone. But again, it's still fun. You know, you get these kids, you know, putting pen to paper and get it signed back, and it's always a sigh of relief.
Yeah, it was, you see video shots of the coaching staff huddled around a fax machine. There would always be some kid at the 11th hour, wasn't sure what he was going to do, so hoping to get that taken care of. This recruiting class spread out between the number of different states. I think 8 total states are represented between your high school signees and your transfers. So talk about, you know, the Pitt State brand and being able to reach out to that many states.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Guerrilla Nation's huge. I mean, it's everywhere. But again, having the university, you know, give us the ability to go out and do that. I think we have 38 states now that get in-state tuition here at Pitt State. So that has helped us branch out our umbrella. You know, 5-10 years ago, it wasn't like that. So that does allow us to kind of branch out and go a little further. But we're still going to focus. You know, obviously, we kind of have a 6-hour radius around Pittsburgh, and we know that's where we're going to find the types of kids we want into this program. Obviously, starting locally, starting to spread out, and still really diving into those areas that have been really good to us. You know, the Kansas City area, Southwest Missouri, Northeast Oklahoma, down into the DFW, continue to be really good for us. And obviously, we're going to continue to pour into those relationships with those high school coaches. But yeah, I mean, when you can have 38 states to get in-state tuition, it allows you to maybe go to Colorado, you know, to find a kid like we did this year. Go up to Minnesota, you know, to find a transfer cornerback like we did out of Winona State. So Illinois got a kid out of the Chicago area this year. So again, having that asset really helps us kind of expand that recruiting umbrella a little bit too.
And I don't know how much is in some of these bios about these kids, but talk about multi-sport kids. You're obviously a football coach. You hear a lot this day and age about kids that specialize a little bit, but you're from Iowa. I know you love wrestlers. So what's your take on kids that maybe compete in more than one sport?
Man, play it all. I mean,
yeah.
There's so many skill sets you can learn from doing so many different things that are going to carry over to all other sports. So, man, I always encourage kids, man, play as many sports as you can. Look at just off the top of my head, I look at our quarterback we signed this year out of Red Oak, Billy Middleton. I mean, his dad was sending me videos the other night. I mean, he's their leadoff hitter on the baseball team, plays center field, runs the 200 and the 400 on the track team, and he just happens to be a heck of a quarterback too. So you can see that athleticism in him when you turn that film on. You know, you see those kids that play those multiple sports, and we have a lot of kids that played multiple sports, but he's one that just comes to the top of my mind just because his dad, I think yesterday was sending me clips of him. You know, I mean, he had a leadoff single and legged out an infield ground ball. So, yeah, I always tell kids, man, play as many sports as you can.
Well, it's the only time in your life you're going to get to do it, right? Play multiple sports. So with that, a kid that has not just been a football-only kid, do you see, I don't want to say a higher ceiling, but how about the potential for growth in a kid that has not yet specialized in football?
Yeah, I just think there's such unique skill sets you learn from so many other things. I mean, a kid that plays baseball, the hand-eye coordination. Obviously, a kid that runs track is just training speed all the time. But when you find a kid that only maybe just plays football, he's only getting the skills that football provide. So when you have those kids that have branched out, and I'm not saying, when they get to their senior year of high school, that's different. But a kid that has come up his whole life through elementary, junior high, and even those early years in high school, those kids that are playing multiple sports, I think you just see a broader range of a skill set from those kids just because of all those different skills that they learn playing those sports.
You have a couple of kids in this signing class, one football player whose dad played here, another one whose mom played basketball here, and then, of course, the Pitt State coaching tree, the high school coaches that played here. Talk about tapping into those bloodlines, if you will, and connections. Yeah,
always great resources for us. Again, that's one of our best recruiting tools is Gorilla Nation. Kids come to Pittsburgh, Kansas, they pull in for the first time, they see gorilla statues all over the community. One of the first things the parents say to me sometimes is, "Oh my gosh, Coach, you guys actually have crimson and gold garbage cans in Pittsburgh too." Well, yeah, it means something here, and it is a special place. And I tell every kid, man, there's only one gorilla. Every college, every university in this country, there's only one that has a gorilla as a mascot, and that's Pitt State, and that means something. So obviously tapping into those resources, our alumni, it's a huge, huge asset for us.
We're going to talk to each coach here starting in just a moment, but on the surface, more offensive linemen and defensive backs in this class than any other position group. So how about that emphasis?
Definitely. We knew going into this past fall that our incoming class the next year was obviously going to have to be loaded in the secondary. We graduated 6 seniors, that at some point over the last 2 to 3 years were all conference players, even all-American players for us. So we knew going in this recruiting cycle that the secondary was going to have to be an emphasis for us. And Coach Perkins and Coach Schrader did a great job of identifying those kids. And I'm really excited about a lot of the guys that we have in this class. And a couple of those guys, one transfer is here, and then we actually had 2 high school safeties that graduated early and early enrolled with us and are already on campus. Then obviously I think offensive line every year, that's going to be one of your bigger numbers that you recruit just because 5 guys have to play at once. So you're always going to have 5 to 8 guys probably in every signing class that you do bring in just because when there's 5 guys on the field, you got to have a lot more of those bodies. So.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks. We'll let you take a break from it. We're going to get to this signing class position by position. First assistant coach to join us will be Mark Smith, Pitt State. Of course, no stranger to Pitt State, the Hall of Famer himself. I'm sure you and I have talked about this since you came back here, but you obviously grew up here. You played here. What's it mean to you to coach at Pittsburgh State?
Growing up, going to the games, so many things have changed just because of such the great support Pitt State gets from the stadium to the indoor to the facilities. But you got to see the tradition, the great games in the muddy weather in the 90s, the Arrowhead games in the 2000s, the winning, the losing, all that stuff. But what makes Pitt State so special is the community and the people in it. But Pitt State football is just a special place to be part of, and to coach there, to be able to play there, coach there, and it's just really special, and I'm excited to do it. All
right, one quarterback in this signing class, that's it, and we'll talk about the group collectively. Billy Middleton, a Texas kid. Coach kind of stole some of your thunder talking about him being a multi-sport guy, but let's go to the highlight videos with Billy Middleton. What do you see in this kid?
Well, first off, just developing the relationship with him and his family, just an awesome family, awesome kid. The way he just handles himself, that's what I really fell in love with. Just he's going to be cool, calm, and collected. You can tell he's going to be a great leader. Works extremely hard. He talked about being a dual sport athlete. He's doing baseball and track right now, so he's competing every day with 2 sports, and he's being very successful. So we love that about it, just being competitive, having that will. He's just a great athlete, and we're going to be able to use him in a lot of different ways.
How much do you look at a quarterback, the style of play he had in high school, nobody runs a wishbone anymore or whatever, but how much do you look at a quarterback and what he did in high school and how that might apply to what we run?
Yeah, just looking at what we want to do on offense is we want a guy that can be able to do it both. We want the running game to kind of lead everything. We want a guy that can use his arm when we need to, use his legs when we need to, get the hard yards, and just be that leader that we need on offense and that can lead us to a national championship.
With that said, you'll obviously have a new starting quarterback. So with the addition of this young man, talk about the quarterback room as a whole right now.
I'm excited about it. It's going to be a great competition this spring. Those guys have been kind of waiting their turn to get their chances. We've had a couple of quarterbacks the last few years in their senior season. So for them to meet with me starting next week and then develop the offense together and see if they can make the plays. And we're just going to work as a staff to get our playmakers the ball as best we can and just be as explosive on offense as we can.
Well, very good. Nobody will work harder at it. Mark, thanks for being here. Mark Smith, Pitt State offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach with us. And we'll transition now to running backs, bring up James Gilbert for that position. Pitt State with 4 running backs in this signing class, 1 transfer, 3 from the high school level. So with that, it's, you're also talking about a group led by the MIAA's leading rusher who is returning, Zamari Pelode-Gary. So, Coach, on that alone, just talk about running backs as a whole right now that with the addition of these guys, where you feel you are roster-wise.
I think we're in a really good spot. I just met those guys a couple days ago, like who think they're the best in the room. Everybody raised their hand. And I think that's the expectation. If you don't think you're the best, I don't want you in my room. And I also brought up the 91 team where I had Ronald Moore and Darren Dawson, where they both went over 1,500 yards, so it's enough touches to go around the room. And I think quarterback best friend is always a running back, so very excited for the offseason for those guys.
Yeah, no question. Any good quarterback appreciates a good running game. So let's talk about this group, starting with Diego Kearns. Emporia State, he was their leading rusher last year, and so this guy, he can play in the MIAA. How about him?
From Colorado, obviously coming from in-conference school, top 3 leading rusher in a conference a year ago. This kid got here January, a week before we had to report to workouts, and he's already hitting the ground running, making a good impression by his teammates already. He's one of those guys where you say he's a man on a mission. Excited to get to work with him, what he brings to the table, and I think he's going to have a really, really good fall here.
All right, Diego Kearns from Emporia State, out of Aurora, Colorado. So let's go to Braden Christian from Lebanon, Missouri, and they know all about running the football at Lebanon, Missouri. So this is an old school throwback offense. How about this young man?
Braden Christian from Lebanon High School, son of Will and Jennifer Christian. Obviously, dad is the head football coach there. They've been coming to our team camp the last couple of years. What stood out to me is this kid he made some impressive cuts. I'm like, dang, I gotta track him down. Who kid is this? So obviously got him up here to a game day, called him for an opportunity, and he was fired up. Great family, great person. So I'm glad to have him here. Hopefully, he can give us pointers on the run game.
And when you talk about being the son of a head coach, what do you see in general, kids that have been around the game their whole life?
I just look at, you get the IQ level because of your dad has coached it for a very, very long time, and just, maybe get a leg up on some of the other guys because football and talk football, X's and O's and stuff like that in the run game.
All right, let's move on to Marcus Hanisch out of Texas, where he played a private school. And if people don't know, Texas has a different division for private school and public school. And this young man, you talk about decorated, state championship, great program out of him. So how about Marcus?
Marcus from the Dallas, Texas area, from Parrish High School, son of Steve and Marcy Hanisch. Plays for Coach Daniel Novikov, him and Coach Anthony Ashley GA together back in the day. So we were good to have that connection with them. What stood out to me about this kid, he's a 3-down back. He can run it, he can catch it, and he can block. Not every day do you see a high school running back putting cut blocks on his tape, and not one time, but multiple times. Mm-hmm. So excited what he brings to the table. Can't wait for him to get here and work with him.
Yeah, you mentioned that everybody that comes in, they're very decorated. We can see that with their yards and touchdowns. But how much do you see high school kids when they transition to the college game that you talk about blocking, pass pro, route running out of the backfield? How big of an adjustment is that?
I think nowadays you can't just rely on, just getting the ball 30, 40 times. Those days are over. Guys use 2 or 3 running backs nowadays, and I feel like the more versatility, the more different skill sets that you can bring to the table, the more that you can stay on the field and, help the offense out. So that's a very good skill set to have.
Final running back we'll talk about, Sire Padilla out of Gardner-Edgerton High School, a couple of state titles in his time there. His high school coach, Jesse Owen, was a running back at Pitt State in the early 2000s. Here's another kid from a little bit of a different offense today, a throwback offense, kind of a B-back, but big, strong kid, right?
Yes, sir. Sire, son of William and Soraya Padilla. What stood out about this kid is his stature. He walks in the room, he's different. He's 18 years old, look like a grown man.
Boy,
rushed for 2,800 yards, over 6'1", 200 pounds, Sunflower Player of the Year. Like I said, He's been up here countless times. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Gore for bringing him up here. Like I said, this kid's going to be different, and like I said, it'll be really special in the years to come.
Yeah, and again, come from a winning program, and hard to teach and coach some of that stuff that those kids bring to the table. Coach, thanks for being here. James Gilbert with our running back. So it looks like a really good group joining an already really good room with what Pitt State should bring back. And with the one transfer and 3 running backs, Chance Reekin will join us now. Pitt State tight ends, and like Mark Smith with the quarterbacks, only one to talk about. So Chance doing part-time duty today here with this. But Coach, with you, obviously one of the coaching changes from the offseason. You've been an offensive GA, now moving to tight ends, full-time position. So how about that opportunity for you?
It's awesome. This is it's a great group of kids. They make it fun, and already they're coming to the office, enjoying to work, asking questions already, asking about the new offense. What are we doing? So it's just a blessing, and appreciate you, TA. It's awesome. So yeah, it's good.
With that, you know, tight ends, versatility comes to mind. You have experience now with the guys we played last season, the underclassmen. So talk about everything. Where would you start, I guess, in describing everything we ask our tight ends to do?
You just said versatile, a little bit of everything. Like last year, we were a lot more blocking and just let's see if you can put your face on somebody. And I think this year we want to do a little bit of both. Luke, he's a dangerous weapon. We've seen it. Jay Knight, same thing. So just being versatile, being able to put your hand in the ground, being able to be adjusted or split out and be a true receiver. Just a little bit of everything.
So we look at tight ends with this class, and again, just the one to talk about, Andrew Harris, Oklahoma kid, and out of Bishop McGuinness. So how about Andrew?
Versatile. So like you'll see these first few clips, he'll be blocking, he'll be doing a great job at it. He finishes people. He plays violent. And then here in just a second, he'll split out and be a true receiver. He'll throw and catch, and he's an athlete out there. He can make somebody miss. He can run you over. Again, 6'3", 230 pounds. Good football player. And the thing about him is I think Coach Stringer and then his mom, David and Beth Harris, they've done a great job just raising this kid. He's a great young man. That's one thing that really stood out about Andrew just in the whole recruiting process is he was just on top of everything and just a great human being at the end of the day.
You know, with that said, you just talk about him on the line, hand on the ground, and extension of the line. Then we see him flex out in the slot a little bit. So do you feel like he came from a program that they used tight ends that will transition to the college game?
Yes, sir. And anymore, I think if everybody runs around and catches the ball as a little kid, like you've grown up playing catch with people, he has the ability to want to block. So having an offense that does both is great for him.
Very good. Well, hey, thanks for being
Yes,
here,
sir.
and all the best to you going forward. Chance Reekin, Pitt State, new tight ends coach after serving as an offensive GA with our only tight end signee in this class. Let's move out a little wider on the offense. Greg Hollins, also some newness to his position, wide receivers coach. Coach Hollins has been tight ends coach the last couple of years for Pittsburgh State, and so have a handful of receivers. But Coach, with that, what's it been like for you transitioning to receivers coach?
For me, it's been great. It's more of a homecoming for myself, so it's really good to be back out there and enjoying the guys. So Coach Smith left me a good group of guys, so my work's not that hard.
With what we should bring back and what we've added, where do you start in describing that receiver room right now?
It's very talented for sure. When you're bringing back some guys like Karan's coming back, which is giving you good leadership. Grayson, another guy that got multiple catches, big time yardage on the year. So you're getting those two guys and kind of bell cows that you're having, and the continuously moving forward with Cam getting better. Kai Stone, what can he do? So it's going to be interesting to see what the rest of these guys do with the addition to this new class coming with them.
When you talk about a high school receiver, they're obviously all good run and jump type athletes, if you will. So is there any one thing that stands out to you that really applies that they'll need to make sure they transition to the college game?
The biggest thing for me in my years of saying is just learning the playbook, right? The faster you learn the playbook, the faster you can get on the field. Football's football. Don't make it difficult. This is something that they've been doing their whole life. So, for those guys, the faster they get in, learn the playbook, and just, it's our jobs as coaches to put them in position to make plays and win their one-on-ones. So, we believe they can make plays, otherwise we wouldn't have recruited them here. So, it's just our job to put them in position to do those things.
All right, let's go through the highlights here for these receivers, starting with Luke Kuhn. How about him?
So Luke's a good kid. Me and Luke actually had a little bit of relationship prior to Pitt State. I recruited him a little bit at a former place. I was one of his first offers. So he's a kid that can play, coming out of the Bentonville area. Coach Grant does a good job there at Bentonville High School, and comes from a good parents. Heather and Dustin do a good job. Dustin's actually Bentonville's strength and conditioning coach, so he's going to be well put together and ready to run. So twitchy, explosive, good kid, comes from a good family, so he'll fit in great with our culture.
And a transfer, obviously, and you have a couple of those in this group from Missouri Western, so familiar with the MIAA. But
Absolutely.
You talked about learning the playbook, maybe the physicality of the college game. So do you have little higher expectations of those transfers?
Absolutely. When those guys, we're expecting them to kind of click fairly quickly. You know what I mean? So, we have no problem with playing freshmen, of course. Damon definitely got on there as a true freshman. So, the cream rises to the top in that room. But, for those transfers to come in, we want you to come in here. We expect you to win. We expect you to come in here and compete at a high level very quickly. So, we really see good things out of them.
All right, let's move on. Guy out of your neck of the woods in Kansas City, Roger Haney IV. Spent a couple of years at different places in Kansas City.
Yeah. So Roger's a good kid, man. Comes from Kansas City, Missouri. Played a little bit at Ruskin High School, and then ended up at Raytown High School his last year with Coach Morgan. He did a phenomenal job with him and getting a lot out of him. His father Roger and mother Janet, she actually passed away before his senior season. So he had a lot to play for his senior year. Great kid, great size. You're talking about someone that's 6'3", 200-pounder, can run, catch, can do a lot of things for us.
Very good. We'll hope that transitions obviously as well. Isaac Sheffield from right down the road here at Grove, Oklahoma.
Yeah. So man, you talk about someone that's twitchy. Every time you look up, he's finding himself in the end zone and. Real explosive, really good kid, comes from a great family as well. Out that Grove area, it seems like we got a little pipeline going on with Grove, Oklahoma right now with our third guy coming out of there. So, but Isaac is a phenomenal player. I love what he does does when he gets the football in his hands. A pretty good route runner, and like I said, he's explosive. He can run for sure.
The Ridge Runners down there in Grove out of Grand Lake. So second transfer of the wide receivers, T.J. Starks from Arkansas State. He is an Arkansas kid as well. How about T.J.?
TJ's really good. Actually, I had a buddy that was there on that Arkansas State staff at the time, and kind of gave me a call and told me about him. And one of the things that stuck out to him was, man, he practices hard. He's going to rub guys wrong way at practice. He is going to, go after them. So I said, man, I love that. Explosive, a guy that can run. So, you talk about someone that can make explosive plays. He's one of them. He's fast, but a great kid, comes from a good family. Tim and Tasha did a phenomenal job with him. They came up on his visit with us, and we had a great time. So happy to have him here at Pitt State.
All right, final receiver out of Tulsa Union High School. Of course, that program, just the name speaks for itself. Oh, yeah. And you talk about some really nice credentials. Class 6 district offensive player of the year. So how about this kid?
Today, and he actually texted me today, he actually got All-State as well. So shout out to Stone, man. Good kid, phenomenal player. Every time you look at him, he's scoring a touchdown, it seemed like. In 2 years, I think he had about 140 catches in the last 2 years, over 2,000 yards receiving, 23 touchdowns. I mean, he's just an electric player. And then, anytime AG gives you a call, you definitely answer the phone. So, his head coach is a former Pitt Gorilla, so you know, it was a slam dunk for us whenever he came available.
Antonio Graham down there at Union, and no shortage of Pitt State connections to the Tulsa area over the years, and those are some phenomenal programs not too far down the road. Coach, thanks for being with us.
Appreciate it.
Greg Hollins talking about the wide receivers, and now, you know, nothing like jumping both feet in the water as Grant Garner comes up here, our new offensive line coach, and talked to him a couple of weeks ago on the phone. I had him on my local show I host, and then walking in the building with him today, you feel like you've caught your breath? He said no. And so he, no lying about it, you know, comes on staff and right in the middle of recruiting season when you're on the road, wife and 3 kids back home in Stillwater, and so trying to get everything going at once. You use the common analogy, it's been like drinking from a fire hose, right? So where do you start in, your head still spinning a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Just trying to figure out, you know, the Bicknell building, like where's that? You know, simple things of where's my locker, right? Gear, where am I staying, get the laundry done, all that good stuff. But it's been a blast to be here. The staff's been phenomenal, just great people, great humans, eager to help, people you want to be in the trenches with. So.
And when I talked to you a couple of weeks ago on the phone, you played at Oklahoma State, decorated player, Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year, a cup of coffee in the NFL, and then head coach there most recently. But your first maybe exposure to Pittsburgh came through Zach Dickey, is that right?
That's right. A dear friend, a guy I love with all my heart. So we were freshmen together at Oklahoma State, and I was kind of looking for a job. And I remember, man, Zach played at Pitt State, and I heard the O-line job had come open, and I reached out to him, and he connected with me with Coach Anthony and Coach Smith, and kind of came in and interviewed, and was lucky enough to be offered the job. So thrilled to be here.
You've obviously been on the road. All you guys have. That's a big part of it. Where are you in just getting to know the current guys? And are you putting names with faces still?
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, for sure. We had our banquet last week, and okay, so you're calling. What's your name? You're Manny? No, I'm Mark. Okay, sorry, Mark. So yeah, trying to figure out guys' names, but definitely looking forward to now being on campus, being on the road recruiting. Hopefully, you know, start to meet and get in the position room next week and install the offense and really to develop a relationship with those guys, and that'd be great.
And how about adding 8 offensive linemen? You know, we talked with Coach Anthony about that, and that's a group you're always going to have a certain number because 5 do play at a time, but 8 of them, and what's that been like sorting through 8 of them and trying to get everything down for those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. It was going through a lot of tape, right? Try to figure out who we want to target, who do we want to go after, and so much more. You know, offensive line play, I believe, is more about the person, right? And if you mess that up, it doesn't matter their abilities, right? Do they care? Are they tough? Do they just take pride in what they do? So to me, it's if you mess up on the person, nothing else really matters. And that's what makes it hard. Just as I watch this tape, it's like, okay, the skill set's there, but what does his coach say? Does he come from a good background, good environment? Is he going to put in the work? Because you can get by with stuff at the high school level that will surface if you're not able to put in the work to be great.
You're from the Metroplex area, DFW, and played at Oklahoma State. Had you recruited that area much in your coaching career?
The Metroplex?
Yeah.
A little bit, especially as a G, GA, so GA at SMU, GA at Southern Miss, and so we'd branch out there and made some connections and just growing up there, but kind of in Mississippi, we kind of stayed in state because we were allowed only for certain, because of rules.
Right.
But yeah, so very familiar with the area, but haven't done a ton of recruiting there.
I asked Mark Smith this about our one quarterback signee. I'll ask you as well. With offensive linemen, how much do you look at the system they played in high school?
Yeah, that's tough. I really don't. I think here, being at a 4-year school, they're going to have time to be taught and developed, right? So as long as they have the attributes that I'm looking for, right? So to me, the kind of non-negotiables are, can they change direction, right? Do they get stuck if a 3 crosses his face or vice versa? And then can they anchor? And that can look different for different people, right? Either you anchor because you're extremely strong, you're extremely flexible / you can bend, drop your hips, or you're just a massive human. So to me, as long as they can do those 2 things, I love arm length, that's a big deal. Hand size, right? But at the end of the day, it comes back to character, work ethic. Are they smart enough to do it? So those would kind of be the attributes that I look for.
All right, let's start with this offensive line group. A lot of them to get to. Hunter Jensen from east of here, Nixa, Missouri, just outside of Springfield. Been a tremendous run of success for Nixa in recent years. How about this kid?
Yeah, so son of Tom and Courtney. His high school coach, John Perry, does a phenomenal job, really well respected. As you can see, Hunter has unbelievable tape. He really does. Great body control, balance. He's always got his feet underneath him. He's a violent player. His biggest deal is, right, he's just got to put on weight. And once he does that, through conversations with him, he's committed to the game.
So as soon as he can do that, I think he'll be a really, really good player for us. Understands leverage and knows how to get things done.
All right, staying over in Missouri, Lebanon High School, we have the running back coming here, played for Will Christian over there with the Yellow Jackets. So how about Jake Redmond?
Yeah, shout out to Coach Christian, and then his mom, Angie, dad, Shane, got to meet them. Really good people again, right? So it's hard to get away from your environment you're in. So these guys all have great parents. But excited about Jake. I think he's got a lot of potential in front of him. His best ball is ahead of him, right? So as you kind of talked before, it's going to be a transition for him coming from that system. But I think he has the characteristics to do it, the will to do it, right? Offensive linemen aren't born, they're made through hard work. And I think he's going to put in the work that it takes, and could be more excited to have him.
But with that style of play, some guys that play in that, do you see a kind of a nasty streak in some of those guys?
Yeah, I think, it's kind of a double-edged question, so to speak. I think, they're used to physicality and coming off the ball, which is huge, right? I don't really necessarily believe you can teach toughness. I think a certain amount of that is innate, right? We can put our guys in situations that allow them to be tough, but it's great that he already has a skill set to just come off the ball and block down.
All right, let's go down to Edmond, Oklahoma for our next with Tegan Roberts. How about him?
Yeah, Tegan, very excited about him. So his mom is Courtney, and his dad is Chad. Great kid, man. I'm very excited about him. I think he's got the character and the mental makeup to be successful. I think he understands leverage and angles. He's extremely quick, fast. He's put on, I think, already 40 pounds since this tape that we're watching, and that demonstrates he's devoted, right? Football matters. He cares. He's going to put in the hard work. He's disciplined. So I think he's going to come in and have a big impact for us.
All right, let's go back over to Missouri, one of the big schools in the state of Missouri, Columbia Hickman, home of the Cupies. What a great nickname. And how about Cole Spry?
Yeah, Cole. Parents are Danny and Don. Really, really good people. What a great nickname, by the way. I was kind of shocked when I walked into high school. This is your mascot, so never forget that. But man, Cole, he's got long arms. He's very athletic. Again, he's a guy that once he puts on the weight, he could be really special. Great feet. He's got a nasty streak for sure. He's not afraid to mix it up and get it in there and put his face in his work. So definitely excited to get Cole on campus and start working with him.
All right, down to Oklahoma, not as big a school, Class 3A level at Berry Hill, but how about Harrison Vaughn?
Harrison Vaughn. Yeah, so Harry got the Purple Heart Award this year. He wasn't able to play, unfortunately, towards, I believe it was his Achilles, but man, I think he's got a huge future in front of him. Extremely athletic, able to change directions, got long arms, understands leverage. Really good kid. Again, he's smart. He understands it. I think, again, once he puts on the weight and gets in our program, starts working with Cody, I think the sky's the limit for him, and couldn't be more excited about it.
All right, we talked about the Metroplex. Let's go down to Allen, Texas, one of the legendary programs down there, big school in Texas 6A, and Mr. Villarreal.
Yeah, so Ethan Villarreal, right? So dad is Brandon, mom is Colleen. Very excited about him. So his dad was a football player. He played for the Saints, so it comes from good bloodlines, as we kind of said before. But just a crafty player. Again, understands leverage. He's physical. He has a wrestling background. Comes from one of the most elite programs in America, to be honest with you. And I think he's going to have the ability to play all 5 spots. Be very versatile, smart, intelligent. You can tell it matters to him, right? So he takes pride in his work and what he does, and passionate about the game.
All right, staying in Texas at Cedar Hill, also at the Texas 6A level. How about Avery Winters?
Yeah, so Avery, parents of Doug and Miss Shanks, Audrey. So excited about this kid. I think he kind of moved around, played a lot of different spots in high school, kind of new to O-line play, right? So offensive linemen they don't pick, they don't volunteer, they're chosen, right? And so I think this kid, Avery, once he can get established in a position and get comfortability within it, I think he's going to really thrive and grow, but he has all the tools to be a great player. I just think we got to teach it to him and get him in a home where he's nice and comfy and able to excel.
All right, last one closer to home, out of Joplin High, just across the state line, Isaac Hust.
So Isaac Hust, right. So dad is Rob, mom is Holly, Coach Jasper does a great job there. Really, really good kid. Man, I've just enjoyed getting to know him and talking with him. And ultimately, if you don't get excited when you call a kid to recruit him or go to see him, then that kid's probably not going to have success in your program. I think Isaac, again, once he can put on the weight, he understands football, he understands leverage. You can tell it's important to him. He's got good hips, right? I think he just sees the game, which is so important for the center and a great communicator.
Last thing I'll ask you, you mentioned a couple guys, maybe playing multiple positions. Center, a little more specialized. Is it tough to project a high school kid, and can he play guard or tackle or both for you at this level?
Yeah, so to me, best I can, I like to get guys that can play both. That way they're not handcuffed and we're not handcuffed, right? We can make the puzzle fit however it needs to be based on the best five whoever they are. To me, you kind of want to avoid your one-trick ponies that can't play guard or vice versa, can't play tackle. So again, I like athletic guys with pop that can run, that have great feet, that are explosive enough to get in there and play guard, but also quick enough with good enough feet and long enough arms to play tackle. So that's kind of my.
All right. Well, you've earned it today. Grant Garner with us. Always good to see you. We'll talk to you again soon with us. Pitt State offensive line, obviously a full group of those guys, 8 total of them. We'll jump sides of the football, bring up linebackers coach and defensive coordinator Lynn Nutt. And Coach Nutt is obviously the linebacker play at Pittsburgh State has been just phenomenal in his time here. And he'll be the first to tell you that, he inherited some good guys, but has certainly enhanced those guys as well. So defensive coordinator as well. But Coach, linebackers, how much do you look at that position as quarterback of the defense?
Yeah, I think what we've got going really well here is we try to hold the standard that everybody gets to be the coach and the quarterback of the defense. But in the meeting rooms and with I tell the linebackers all the time, I'm going to hold you to borderline impossible standards. And so when it comes down to it, they know that they're going to take ownership of everything good and everything bad that happens in our program, and we're going to go where they take us.
You see the great culture. I go back to the Jack Barkley's, even last season when Zach Kanan couldn't play. Yep. And they are literally coaches with the younger guys. How rewarding is that as a position coach to see the older guys just being an extension of their coach on the field with those younger guys?
Well, I hope they have higher standards than to be an extension of me. They need to aim higher than that. But they know that the success of any of us is because of all of us. And so they want to, raise the standard, raise the expectations, and then the play of the whole group. And those guys coach each other, and they're going to lead in the humility to get coached by their teammates. So whenever there is a moment to learn and to get coached by anybody, hopefully the other players have watched them do that really well.
We talked with Coach Reekin about tight ends and versatility. With linebackers, you think about tackling, you think about being able to cover. How much do you look at overall athletic ability that can transition to being able to do both?
Yeah, the athleticism part of it is really the first thing that we look at when watching a kid's film. Can he run? Can he change direction? God made all of our bodies very, very differently, so the length and the size and the weight it's a big spectrum there, but does he have the athleticism, naturally that then we can put on the good weight if he's a little bit skinny. But you got to be able to run, you got to be able to change direction because we're going to ask you to do a lot of things athletically that if you're just a big plugger, it probably won't go very well for you at backer.
Well, and you have kids in your program, I think of Blake Carr right now, that, the old saying, trust the process. And Blake was a high school quarterback. How good of an example is a kid like that? You just saw him get better throughout last season, that, that he can be a really good sounding board for young players about, trusting in the process.
Well, I think really PJ and Luke and Jack and all those guys were the first ones to really talk through and have to live through and then lead through trusting that process and just keep grinding and keep getting better. And, Jack didn't play a ton until his 5th year, and then he was a 2-time All-American. So, Blake's story might be a little bit different with that in terms of earlier playing time, but that whole got to get better, you're good, but you're not good enough yet. I think he leads in that well. He's humble enough to know that he's got to get better, and he knows that, he might played a lot last year, but that spot's not guaranteed, so we got to get better today.
All right, well, speaking of getting better, let's talk about the linebackers added to this group. We'll start in Missouri up in the Northland of the Kansas City area, Liberty High School at the 6A level. How about Grady Coppinger?
Grady, really excited about him. He was committed elsewhere, and he came to our game against Northwest Missouri and saw Guerrilla Nation and saw what Pitt State's all about, and he decided to change his commitment. And so really excited about him, what he does on the field. He's coming from a tough-nosed family. Mom and dad are both got some good toughness to him, and so he's going to have some grit to him that fits into the program. So the things that he does on the field, kind of like Coach Garner talked about, are just a bonus based on who he is as a person. And he's excited to be here and be a part of what we can do.
All right, out to Colorado. We haven't had a ton of kids from Colorado over the years, but we do have a couple in this class with the transfer running back, and now this young man. How about Brody Elliott?
Yeah, Brody, big, long kid, really athletic, was highly recruited out of the state of Colorado, and Coach Perkins found him. He's got a lot of connections out there, and I'm thankful for that. And he sent me the kid's film and said, hey, what do you think? And immediately we were on the phone and talking and getting to know him, and he's got some investment into the process as well, because very quickly he and his dad came to a game day visit, again saw Gorilla Nation and what Pitt State's about, and decided to jump on the bus. So really excited about what he's going to bring to us.
All right, down to Texas, 5A level, Lufkin High School, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I was thinking he was kind of a late get, Desmond Hood.
Yeah, late. Very thankful that Coach Hollins found him. So I get to work with guys that get to help me look good at my job. They're doing it for me. And Coach Hollins found him, and again, got on the phone quickly. Then Coach Rican went down and visited him a couple times, and down in East Texas, and late, but sometimes late can still be a very good bonus. And as you watch the film, you can see a football playing dude. And came up on a visit with his parents and his younger sister. We had a great time and a great chat, and he jumped in the boat and sent me a picture the other day. He was some type of academic award, all conference academic. So he fits into the group really well, and a grinder that's really good at football.
Yeah, and East Texas, I think is really an underrated area with Lufkin and Tyler and some of those towns out there. It is, it's pretty good. All right, final one here. We have a transfer, local kid from Riverton, right?
Yeah, Derek has got some go-getter to him, and so we talk about the process of being a linebacker and having the ability and the fortitude to go after something. He kind of fell into our laps, sent us a random email, and then Coach Scooch got on him right away and has been working with him like crazy. And there's with the NCAA, there's hoops to jump through to get through the process, and him showing who he is, got through those hoops, and then the film was like, oh shoot, this guy's good at football too. So who he is, and then being really good at football, transferring in, he's already working with our guys, he's putting on really good weight. The guys really enjoy him. He's a little bit quiet right now, but I think we'll pull out some personality and get to see what he does on the field too.
So with what you should bring back and what you've added here, how do you feel collectively with that linebacker room?
Yeah, really excited. We've got high performers, high character guys, leadership potential, really good at football. We've got to expedite their learning process. We've got to get them into game day ready before the game, and that's our job as coaches. But very excited about the athleticism and who they are as young men. We got to gain experience before the bullets are flying.
One more thing with experience, we've seen plenty of these guys cut their teeth on special teams.
Yeah.
How big of a gateway can that be to every down play?
Yeah, I mean, coming from high school into the MIAA, the speed and strength of the game, they're not used to it, no matter what level of high school they played at. And so those special teams reps and the things that our staff gets to ask them to do in special teams all translates with the communication aspect, the adjustments, the hand placement, the eyes, the footwork, all those things apply into playing offense and defense. And so, yeah, that's a big deal for them to kind of get their game day jitters out earlier maybe in their career, and then when it's football time, just go out and play and trust the work that you've already put in.
Very good. Good stuff, Coach. Thanks as always. Lynn Nutt with us. And, good guy, good football coach. And those linebackers, definitely the heart of things, and they do not disappoint. Let's move to the back end of the defense. Coach Anthony touched on this. We'll bring up Parker Schrader, safeties coach. But Pitt State had, at times last year, 5 guys on the field on the back end of the defense that had earned all conference honors in their career. And so, Parker, for you, it was a first-time, full-time position. You stepped into a very veteran group. What was that like, having some of those guys for you as a first-year coach here?
Yeah, it was really good. Obviously, they had some really good players, but really good people too. And so they attacked every day and came in ready to work and learned from the film and kept growing. And, just good people to be around and work with every day to keep getting better.
We're going to learn more about what kind of coach you are, right, when next season rolls around without some experience on the floor. But we're going to talk about 4 different guys with you. And so let's start here. Texas, out of Pflugerville. How about Jordan Gwynn Jr.?
Yeah, Coach Hill, his high school coach, we had a prior connection and kind of hit us up about him. So it was really, really good find and help by him. And then obviously you turn on the film and he plays a lot bigger than he is. Just a dynamic football player. I mean, he's a district defensive player of the year in his district, all-state player, tackle, can take the ball away, and then really good family and people, Jordan Sr. and Caroline too.
Well, Jordan Rogers played bigger than he was, and that worked out just fine for everybody. So I hope we have another one of him in him. So let's stay in Texas, 6A level, Timber Creek High School. How about Landon Hicks?
Yeah, Landon, you turn on the film, and he's just a tackling machine all over the place, knocking guys back. And then obviously, diverse player, played multiple positions for him. And then once again, really good family. His parents, Gerald and Joanna, really good people. And then just moves well for his size too.
You mentioned a tackling machine at safety. Talk about everything you look for in a guy that can he be a good tackler and in pass coverage as well?
Yeah, I think you got to do both. In the safety room, we're looking for football players, not just safeties, but guys that can run, can tackle, can attack the football in the air, play man coverage, be in the run fit at times, be a half field guy, be a middle of the formation guy, do a lot of different things. So you got to be a diverse football player.
All right, our next guy, Lanning kid out of Marion High School, small school right out in the middle of Kansas. You get him from Coffeyville Community College. How about him?
Yeah, another diverse player, played multiple positions at Coffeyville, all-state guy in high school, and then the coaches just raved about him, his coaches at Coffeyville, his coaches in his high school. And then once again, really good family, Gene and Tracy, just really good people, and really diverse skill set like we kind of talked about.
All right, last one we'll talk about, Malachi Youngblood. How about him?
Yeah, really cool for him and his family. His mom played basketball here, and he was actually born in Pittsburgh. So really cool for him and them to come. 3-time all-district player, broke his school interception record in a season. So once again, a diverse football player that can go attack the ball and go score on defense and go do those things, and then really good family, obviously, and fit.
And ties to Pitt State, which is awesome. We touched on that with Coach Anthony. You know, here you have a kid from a 6A high school in Texas. Marion, Kansas is a 1A school in central Kansas. So how much do you put on how high of a level a kid played in when it comes to evaluating a high school player?
Yeah, I think football is football at the end of the day, whether it's 1A or 6A. And getting around them, getting to know them as people, and turning on the film, you can see, and watching them, live evaluating them, you can see there's a lot of diamonds even in 1A ball versus 6A ball, and just finding good football players with diverse skill sets, not as much the level and where they're from. Very good. Well, hey, thanks as always. Park Schrader with us, Pitt State safeties coach, talking about that group. We'll bring up Brandon Perkins and plenty of guys here to talk about that are going to get added to the cornerback room, and that position, like safeties, took a big hit from graduation, and that's part of it. So, Coach, with that said, talk about reloading at your position here a little bit.
Yes, I think we did a really, really good job in this recruiting class with these guys coming in here. You know, you kind of walk into a situation where you have 3 former all-conference players, right? They make coaching easy for you, right? So we have to go out and kind of replace a lot of time played on the field and everything like that, and I think we did a pretty good job of that.
Well, let's get right to it because you do have a lot of them. So we'll start down in Northwest Arkansas, right? How about Tony Berry?
Tony Berry, man, he was a first-team all-conference player, man. Thankful that his mom actually brought him up here a lot, right? He came up here throughout the spring, one of our junior days, came up here, you know, to a couple game day visits, you know, and also an official visit. He brings a lot of length to the game, physical at the line of scrimmage. You know, everybody knows we play a good amount of man-to-man, so he does a lot of that and, you know, brings a good skill set, and, you know, I think he's going to fit into the program very well.
Yep, kids out of Northwest Arkansas, good competitive level down there at the Arkansas 6A, 7A level. Speaking of which, let's stay there down to Bentonville High School. Very consistent program. Arkansas big class state runner-up this past fall. So how about Tristan Brown?
Yes, sir. Tristan Brown was a 2-time all-conference guy, you know, being at Bentonville. And as we know, it's a pretty good program, right? We got a couple other guys from there as well. Tristan brings a lot of athleticism to the room, you know, kind of brings that grit you see when you're watching this film. like he plays the game with a different type of passion. And as you know, playing the corner position, naturally you have that swagger to you, and I think he brings that to the game, and it's going to help that room out tremendously.
Yep, can have that swagger, need to have short-term memory. That's all part of it with the cornerback position. You know, we haven't had a lot of guys from Illinois over the year that Coach touched on that earlier. 8 different states represented in this signing class, so up to Illinois. How about Lizelle Edmond?
Lizelle Edmond, so he's really an athlete, right? If you watch his film, you're going to see a lot of plays on offense playing receiver. He made a significant amount of plays defensively as well, but, you know, we kind of had a connection. I had a coach, Coach Dudek, he's their defensive coordinator, recruiting coordinator over there, who had a connection. He actually went to school with Coach Anthony, you know, and then so that's how we developed that connection. But I think he brings a lot of skill to the game, you know, and as he puts on size as he goes through this, our strength and conditioning program, he's going to help us out a lot.
All right, down to Tulsa Union High School, and again, great ties to Pittsburg State in the Tulsa area over the years, and boy, talk about an explosive athlete. How about Mr. Gaines here?
Oh yeah, Dejon Gaines, man, you know, first team all-conference, all-district player, you know, out of Tulsa Union. You know, he brings a lot to the game, right? You see a lot of his film. He's going to tackle well. He plays the football very well, right? So he's going to help out that room tremendously, and especially with him being an early enrollee, you know, he's going to get his feet wet and everything kind of early, which is going to help out throughout his career.
Okay, Tulsa Union, yep, great program, and obviously, again, with the Pitt State guy leading them, great to have those connections as well. Transfer here from Winona State, Division II school in the Northern Sun Conference, obviously up there in the frozen Northland, if you will. So how about Mr. Randall? Yes, sir. So Mr. Randall, we kind of got on him because I have a former coach that I worked with who was over there who gave me a call about him, and we kind of talked, and, you know, he turned on his tape and he kind of pops off. You know, it reminds me of a couple of our guys that we ended up just graduating previously. So, you know, I think he brings that explosiveness back to the game, a lot of short area quickness, and, you know, he does a good job of playing the ball in the deep part of the field. And with college experience, what are your expectations for him? Oh, man, well, you know, you come in as an older guy, as a transfer, you know, I'm expecting you to come in here, you know, and you're going to still earn something, right? Nothing's not going to be given, but we expect him to come over here and help us kind of immediately there for us. All right, at the Texas 6A level, Prosper, Texas. We know that name well from some former Gorillas and Tyson Stiggers. Yes, sir. He's a 2-time all-district player at Prosper, and, you know, he brings a diverse skill set, right? You see a lot of times that he does a really good job tackling in space, right? Makes a lot of plays on the football. So I think he's going to come over here and help us out tremendously. Cornerback, you know, as experienced as you were, you ended up with some young guys on the field last year. So talk about your hopes for those guys that did cut their teeth a little bit as true freshmen. Yes, sir. So I think that's going to be really good for them, you know, in their growth and development, you know, throughout their careers, and going through this spring and having an off season, you know, is going to continue to help them because now they understand, you know, how the speed of the game is, the physicality, you know, understanding getting the call, getting aligned, right? All of those little things, check those boxes off pre-snap and post-snap. So I think it's going to help them out a lot as we go through this offseason in terms of development. And then you talk about a freshman being enrolled at semester. How valuable do you think spring ball will be for those guys? That's highly valued. You know, having that guys here, having them here now, you know, you get in the strength and conditioning program, you know, you get around the coaching staff early, you know, get in the playbook, because that's the biggest leap, right, is the speed of the game and then understanding and learning the playbook when you get into college. So being able to get that is going to give him a couple of legs up on the guys that are coming in this summer. Very good, Coach. Thanks. Great job with it. Brandon Perkins, cornerbacks coach for Pittsburg State. And last position coach we're going to talk to, we like to say, save the best for last, with defensive line coach Tyrell Everett. And I asked him the other day, hey, biggest impact guys, and he said they're all killers. And so that's what you want, that mentality out of the D-line, the juice gang, as they've been called a little bit. And so you spend any time around Coach Everett and you want to run through a wall for him, and I know that's what he wants his guys to have, that mentality a little bit. So, Coach, a handful of guys we're going to talk about. So, Coach Anthony talked about the O-line, and we saw last year one of the strengths of this team appeared to be the defensive line, and nobody had to play 60 snaps a game. So, across the board, talk about the depth you feel you have in the program right now.
Is this thing on? Sorry. One of the big things, we pride ourselves on the depth, Eddie, because we want to go 15. That's our goal every single year, and you're not going to do that playing 60-some snaps of games. Now, when you're playing in certain games, you just got to sometimes tell your dudes, hey, you're not coming out. You got to leave them in, and we're going to roll. But we've been blessed, with the group of guys that we have, that we are building this thing the right way.
You want guys that want to compete, and everybody wants to play. But talk about the culture you have to have in place for guys to want to compete for playing time and yet still pull for their teammates.
That's what it's all about. We always tell them, put the team first in all your actions, and you're not going to always like what we do, but our jobs as coaches is to put the best guys on the play, in the play, and find the right opportunities for them to be successful on the field as well. So,
all right, well, let's talk about this handful of defensive linemen. Lufkin, Texas, a different high school than our linebacker signee from there. So how about Davion Bogney?
Man, we like his length. This kid can flat out go. Came to us. He's really athletic, as you can see, good change of direction, running things down, violent at the point of attack. He's got the good stature, about 6'3", 250 pounds. He moves very, very well. He's versatile. As you can see, his motor's high. That is something we look for. You know, you don't play with pluggers anymore. You got to play with dudes, and that's something that this young man brings every single play.
Yeah, you know, offense is the way they've evolved sideline to sideline. So as a D-line coach, you looked at that previous play on him. He's lined up at left DN, and he makes a tackle outside the right numbers. What's that tell you about a guy on film?
That's one, too. You can win with that. You know, that's on. You know, you can't coach that. Somebody's got to want to have that, and that's what we're looking for in our D-line.
All right, let's go over to Missouri, up to Blue Springs South High School. How about Xavier Gammon?
Really good kid. Coach Williams does a good job. Mother, Courtney Richbury, he's also the nephew of Phil McCoy. The young man is really, really good, really long as well. One thing that really stood out to me about this young man was not just his play. He's very agile, but he is very, very mature for his age. When you ask him to do something, it's getting done. He plays with a high motor. He's got a really good attitude, but also he's nasty on the football field as well. He's very disciplined. As you can see right there, he didn't take the QB. He took the dive as a B-gap player, so that takes a lot of discipline in what we're trying to do. So I'm excited about this young man. He'll be a great addition to our room.
Yeah, and Blue Springs South had a great season last year, and again, we love kids from winning programs. Louis Jones, Coach Anthony talked about a kid like this that, you know, he had him out of high school kind of, and he ends up going to Central Oak for a semester, and so he has that semester of exposure to the college life, but here he is. He's coming from Central Oak. How about him?
I love this young man. He's got a great personality. He's hungry. He works hard. He's already here on campus. He's already strong as an ox right now, and he's going to continue to keep getting better. He'll bring great interior pressure, as you can see. He had 10.5 sacks in high school. That's really good production his senior year, and we're fired up to have him really strong, and I like that 1-2 punch that we'll have in there.
Well, hopefully that translates for the Gorillas, but D-line, O-line depth, can't have enough of it, as they say, like pitching arms in baseball. Let's talk about a transfer here from Missouri State, Division I level, obviously, but a Springfield Kickapoo kid. We have a couple of others from Kickapoo on the roster. Andrew Link.
I love Andrew Link. We built a relationship in 2022. It was my first year here. He ended up popping a Most State offer. We stayed on him, continued to build the relationship. This young man was unbelievable out of high school, and he's going to be unbelievable here. He's already here. The guys love him. He's a hard worker. He's already gained a lot of weight so far. He fits in perfectly with our group and what we're trying to accomplish. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's very agile. We can line him up in multiple positions from interior, be able to exploit from outside to inside with the young man, and that's what we're looking for, and we're excited about that as well.
Yeah, it sounds like expectations through that kid and a high ceiling for him, so that'll be a good thing. Right here in our own backyard, Parker Penamani, familiar name, of course. Dad and uncle played at Pittsburgh State, so how about getting this Purple Dragon to stay home?
Oh, we're fired up about it, and you know he's coming from a really good program as well. Coach Latt, I've known Coach Latt for about 15 years. He recruited me back out of high school, so you know he's going to be intense. He's going to have discipline. He's going to be strong because Latt loves and believes and sleeps in that weight room, so you know that young man loves it as well. We're excited about him. Good interior, outside play as well. Good motor, violent at the point of attack. So definitely looking forward to coaching this young man, and he's got the gorilla DNA in him. So.
You know, you talked about a couple guys going to gain some weight and whatever. How do you look at a guy coming out of high school and maybe that frame projecting interior D lineman versus an end?
I think you just look at the frame, and then also I always say look at their plate. When they come on visit, do they finish their food or they don't finish their food? Everybody asks, what's the secret to gain weight? Well, eat. I mean, look at me, you know, so eat. They love food, they're going to gain weight, Andy.
Yeah, well, good stuff, Coach. As always, pleasure to talk with you, and we'll look forward to doing a great job. Oh, one more? Oh, my fault. Oh, yeah, out of Jeff West, Kansas kid up in Northeast Kansas. So, yeah, here's a kid. He's got interior written all over him, right?
Yes, absolutely. This young man is unbelievable, got a wrestling background. Decorated young man, 3A All-State performer. He is almost close to his 100th win. I'm rooting for him in wrestling right now. That's a big accomplishment for that young man. Great family. Mother Jenny, dad passed away. I'm excited to coach this young man. Great attitude. He is fired up. He brings a lot of energy. He's very strong, and I'm excited to coach this young man. He'll have a great career.
What do you think about wrestling translates to playing D-line?
Leverage. Leverage is everything. We know that, and also explosiveness out of his hips. That's everything, and being violent. So I'm looking forward to being able to coach this young man and this group as well.
All right, very good. Hey, thanks again. Coach Everett with us on the defensive line. Tremendous energy, and that is a position you need that energy to set a certain tone. We'll bring Coach Anthony up here before we wrap it up. And so, one thing about it, Coach, these guys come up here and they talk about all these recruits, and you have the common bond of the family and the programs they come from and all that stuff. So there are obviously certain things you look for, right, in not just a kid's football ability, but his background.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're always looking for a kid that comes from a good environment, right? Whether that's at the high school, from the high school coach, the high school program, whether that's at home. And I think sometimes, parents are a big part of the recruiting process too. I mean, we're recruiting the parents just as much as we're recruiting the kid, and that is kind of just as important of a decision for us as it is just taking the kid as well. So getting to know those folks is very, very important to us through that process as well, to know what type of kid we're getting and what type of an environment he comes from.
It's been said, get their mama. You get mama on, and you're okay, because mama's sending her baby to, right? You got to be their mom and their dad when they go away. Coach, you guys are getting a little closer to spring ball. We're still early February, but since school has resumed, talk about the regimen for your current players right now.
Yeah, guys just been back in the weight room with Cody and Devin, just kind of grinding away here over the last couple weeks as we kind of finish up on the road recruiting. They'll kind of stay in that cycle for about another week or two, and then we'll jump into more of a 3-day a week lifting process, and then we'll do our kind of morning run, morning team conditioning stuff twice a week. We'll do that for about 3 weeks leading up to spring ball. Then we start spring ball the week before spring break this year, so we'll go 3 on the front end of spring break and then finish up when we come back.
What all goes into that decision on when to start spring ball?
Yeah, I think, last year we kind of pushed it back a little later, and I just didn't like how we got pressed right up against dead week in finals. So I kind of moved it up this year just to give our guys a couple extra weeks in the weight room, kind of before we went into dead week in finals. And then that allows us as coaches, too, to kind of sift through exit meetings at the end of the semester, get some spring recruiting stuff done a little bit there before we get into the month of June when all of our summer camp stuff starts kicking up.
Well, it just rolls one thing into another for football coaches at this level. Big thanks to Coach Anthony and these guys. You can tell they're all great people, good football coaches. 39 total signees announced today. For those of you watching at home or even in person, you want to read the full bios on these guys, go to PittStateGorillas.com. You can do that through the release of this signing class. So big thanks for being with us, Fort, and we'll look forward to seeing what it translates to eventually on the field. For Coach Anthony and the staff, I'm Eddie Lomshek. Thanks for being with us, and go Gorillas.